start using a tool, it's actually you're using the tool and the tool's using you. It's like changing how your brain works. And I think we've worked with databases for so long, and vendors have aggressively sold databases to like our senior leadership to the point where we start to think of our business services as if they were these databases, right? So that abstraction leaks out into how we expose data on the web, right? REST, I like REST, please don't throw stones. But the common practice of REST is often just, I'm going to make like a tiny database and model it as URI endpoints, right? But it's going to be this like kind of mutable mini database because that's how we think. And that abstraction is leaked out in the front end. Back in the back end, all of our business logic is sort of central and influenced heavily in the sort of dance with our data model that we've stored as schema in the database. So it becomes a little bit of a leaky abstraction, and I think that's kind of a bad thing. Conway's Law, yes, this is a thing. Who's heard of Conway's Law? Cool. I love coming to Strange Loop because like I don't have to spend a lot of time on this stuff. Organizations which design systems are constrained to produce designs which are copies of the communication structures of these organizations. It's kind of interesting. I've seen this. The enemy is us. This really does happen in large organizations. And here, so given that that's true, right? A law, in as much as anything in software can be a law, that can either help you or it can hurt you. Just like the law of gravity. I can fall off the stage and hurt myself, or I can like sling a rocket to Mars, right? You can use these laws to get leverage just as much as they can hurt you. So let's use Conway's Law, see if we can make it happen for us. Given that Conway's Law is a thing, given that we have these cross-cutting concerns, right? Concerns that are not just the primary business logic and like storing stuff in a database. We've also got these other things. We need to send like push notifications to our mobile users, and we need to have this sort of audit trail for the security and audit folks, and we need to do all these other things that aren't sort of the core purpose of this little microservice. How do we do that in the presence of Conway's Law? How do we do that in such a way that like the audit and security people are responsible for the audit and security piece of that, and the big data people are responsible for like the analytics piece of that? In this model, you can't, right? You have to contact a team that built this thing in the gray dotted line and ask them to like add this feature into their blending because it's all. So we solve this by like libraries and something in there to like automatically do this kind of stuff for us. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. So I think we can do better. This architecture that I've been using and working on is about called Commander. And I think it's a better way of sort of modeling our API system so that they're log-centric, reactive, and it's still exposed to many properties of REST that our API customers come to expect, and that we're facilitating and use discovery and delivery services. The command architecture, well, when I say commander, I actually sort of mean two things, unfortunately. I mean the architecture at large, and I also mean a specific component within that architecture. The command architecture is kind of like REST plus CQRS plus like immutable logs plus reactive and stream processing. So here's what it looks like. The command architecture is this whole feature, the command component is the piece in the upper left. But you see here, we have CQRS because the commander component in the upper left here is the right handle. It talks to you when you want to assert the action for command, this thing, which I'll talk about in a minute what a command is. And then its only job really is to write it down to copy, or write it down to use it. It's a really small job. It can do other things. It can do like authorization, authentication, but it can also do schema conformance and validation. That the action that we're sending is something that we're competent to deal with by our system way of thinking. Also, it's a good way of kind of protecting what ends up on that Kafka topic of command. And it writes down to a topic called command. Then in the back end, you have these reactive stream processors, which is there. Hey, someone's trying to create a user, or transfer money, or whatever. And it pulls that value off that log, and it does something off that log. It's really clear. It receives it from that log, and it does something, right? It decides if it's a good idea, decides if it's something that fits it, and then it writes a corresponding event. So in this picture, the benefit here is that we're writing down the story of exactly what our users are asking us for. We're not thinking about it like making a decision, we're writing down a decision. We're writing down exactly the narrative where our customers want to transfer money. I want to transfer money, so we go to like the money table and subtract from column A and add to column B, right? We're just capturing the fact that a customer asked us for this at this point. And then the business logic reacts to that and writes down an event. So the pluses are commands, the diamonds are events. And then later, other microcustomers downstream consume the event stream and then write to other topics as they want to coordinate whatever other work they need to do. And we populate a read-optimized view of what the business logic wants to do. And then that can serve as the basis for these read-only REST APIs that will serve as a query. The command interface, which is commander in the upper left, you have the query interface, which is down in the lower left there. And we're expressing our actions in the language of the business domain. Right? We're not expressing it as like SQL insert statements. We're not expressing it as complex classes in Java or something in Clojure. We're expressing what the user wants in a data system. And this data language serves as the lingua franca of the whole system that all the systems teach. A command is this. A command is an action and a data. Transfer money like that. And the action is always phrased in the imperative, which is something that's coming from the outside of our system, so we don't trust it yet. It's not something that we've asserted has happened. It's just something that we know is a request from outside of our system for some action to happen. Transfer my money. An event, after it's been processed by the command processing logic, is something whose action is phrased in past tense. It's something that's occurring. It's not just via business logic, it's something we want to happen. Money transfer. And it can have, data payload. You can track the parent, what the upstream command or event led to this. You track the data problems back and you have to solve it. So this is how an event is shaped. They're very similar. They both have sort of action and data, but it's a very simple structure. And using this schema, you can express essentially anything that can happen. Right? You can either issue a discount to people who 3 or more things since November, but haven't been back in 3 months. Right? There's a lot of things you can express using this. And it separates action from perception. This distinction. Not the secure bit.
Player 1 wins.
What's neat here is that from one log, one business-oriented, domain-level log of things that are happening in our system, we can create as many data views of that set of events as we want. And we don't all have to agree on schema. And we don't all have to agree on use case or operational characteristics, right? All the different groups in the organization can create the data view of this series of business events that matters to them without coordination with anyone else. We'll talk about kind of how that helps in a little bit. Again, we talked about this. We write down everything just as it's intended, and then these read and query APIs are completely decoupled from the write path to the application. The other thing to note here is that Commander in the upper left there, the right handler, doesn't know anything about your business domain, other than maybe a schema of, this is a valid action, and when you have this action, the data payload needs to look like this, roughly. But that's all. It doesn't know any business domain semantics. It doesn't know any business logic. It really is just sort of the right handler in the whole distributed architecture. And by building it this way, it allows us to exploit Conway's law rather than collapsing under its weight. So in this case, you can clearly distinguish the responsibility that the primary service team has, right? So this would be something in the line of business that's really close to the customers. It's providing a direct business service to these customers. It knows the customer's use case. It knows the business logic. It needs to be sort of primarily focused on pleasing and serving that user. So in this case, the primary team is responsible for implementing the command processing business logic, which is a small job, right? That is a function or a class, right? It's a really small thing, and you can read it in kind of one page in your editor. A small amount of business logic usually, right? Sometimes they're more complicated domains. And then they're responsible to implement at least one microconsumer that populates a read-optimized view that serves as the basis for these query APIs, which they will write and provide, right? So they don't provide Commander or really even have to worry about it operationally. They just send their actions to Commander. They implement on their own these query APIs. And that can do whatever they want. It can be this RESTful, beautiful, Rastafarian temple, or it can be Falcor or GraphQL or whatever sort of representation they need to expose to their clients. They can expose that and not worry about trying to please other actors within their organization. Right? The enterprise, the central team, that's not as close to the customers, but is trying to provide cross-cutting services, can provide Commander, the web service that takes in these actions. It can run, Kafka or whatever you're using for your event log. And then it can provide other microconsumers that are doing non-application core things, like analytics and auditing and operations metrics and monitoring and other types of concerns. And they can do this without any coordination whatsoever with the primary application team. So the application team is freed up to just focus on the business logic that's going to delight their users. The central teams who have to, for legal reasons, take an audit of what's going on across their organization, or for operations purposes need to get some metrics on, how many of these actions are we taking in per second or whatever, or want to build pretty pictures for the boss to get a feel of situation awareness, how the business is going. They don't have to know or talk to the application team. They just read off this stream of events because the same language, the same lingua franca that's used to build the primary application service is precisely the same language that all these cross-cutting concerns have access to build their concerns, right? It's this data contract that everyone's kind of leveling the playing field, right? Now the application team isn't in this privileged position, and everyone else is a second-class citizen who has to go beg that application team to pipe me out some data someplace or ETL data out of your database for me, please. Now everyone's speaking the same streaming kind of real-time data contract language. So what does the Commander component bring us? Talked about this a little bit before. It's the single writer in the system. So I worked on a database a few years ago called Datomic, which has a very similar architecture, but it's sort of, Datomic is constrained to doing the data-oriented stuff, right? That's at a much lower level than what I'm talking about here. That's which facts do I want to assert at any given time? And it also has a single writer system, right? Writes it down to immutable logs, populates the index, so that we can query that data later. So if you take that sort of architecture, zoom it out, to now instead of data domain language, you're talking about business. That's sort of what Commander does. So Commander acts as a transactor-ish component in this broader business system. Take in writes, validate, make sure that the structure of the writes is usable, and then write it down. It also indexes all of the commands within the system, that command topic, and all the events that are a cascading result of people processing those commands into events. And it indexes those so that you can have sort of a read view, so you can perceive the events and commands going on in the system. So it exposes that via your system. Get, see all the commands that happen, and it provides a service center index where the client, the JavaScript layer, is sitting there in quick a stream of events that's going on. Now, how do we implement? So I talked about Commander, the left. How do we implement the reactive part, like the command processors, and the little micro consumers that are populating read-only views or type of stuff out in the analytics view